Hi guys, Jeanette Wilde, and another session with the Titanic Junk Journal using the Titanic papers by Relative History. And I think I have another paper today by Thoughtful Studio. And again, you can find your Thoughtful Studio papers at the same Relative History website. And let's get going. Alright, so today we're looking at this signature. Come on, there you go. And let's see, we'll do a quick flip through. We have yet another 12 by 12. This one has a gorgeous, bleh. I can speak, gorgeous image of the ship. Again, this is what I was talking about, in an earlier session about the blues and the greens. It has that beautiful green in it that I've been pulling from. And then again, another of the large sketchbook papers. The index from an atlas. And then this, we've seen the other one previously. I believe it was on the bottom of the page. And a gentleman over here, ladies over here. So the signature has the one with the ladies. And then another of the A4 sheets. This one, I believe, was Kool-Aid dyed. And I don't know if you can see that, but I've spritzed it with a little shimmer. And then another of the sketchbook pages. So we are going to work here. And this section, like I said, sometimes I get inspired by a piece of ephemera. Sometimes it's just an element that I want to have in the book. This one was from this ephemera piece. So in the ephemera set, you've got two different newspapers. And let me see if I have them immediately next to me, which doesn't look like it. Oh, wait, there they are. So we have the Daily Graphic and the Daily Mirror. And these pictures were taken out of, I believe, the Daily Graphic one. And I've got the, so Daily Graphic, yeah. So this was at the top of the page. And then these were laid out down the page. And what I've done is I've cut them out individually. And all of these images are showing you the beauty of the inside of the Titanic. So the different ballrooms, staterooms, that kind of thing. And so I wanted to kind of showcase all of these. So, and also once I was looking at it, I remembered there's this other piece of ephemera, which is it's got a little cut. It's too big to fit in the screen. But you can see it's a cut of the Titanic, so you can see it from a side view cut through. And then on the other side, it also has a number of images of the inside. So I thought, put these two kind of together. So we have sort of a whole bunch of images of what the inside of the Titanic looked like. So looking at this front piece, what I want to do is I'm going to have a pocket. And this paper is, again, from Thoughtful Studio. But again, I don't believe this was designed by her. But I don't believe it's in any of the collections. So if you like it, give her a shout. Maybe she'll add it into a collection. So we're going to use that as a big pocket here. And I picked this paper because it is almost exactly the same color as the pamphlet that I'm going to put in there. And then I like double pockets. And I wanted this one to be large enough that this would sit in and not, accidentally fall out. So it'd be nice and snug in there. And so that it would go down far enough not to cover up the Titanic piece, which made a nice big pocket so that I could have a double pocket. And this piece of paper is actually, I think I got this little, I haven't even cut this or inked it. It came this way. And it was almost like a little sample set of these little pieces of paper. So, works nicely there. So that's on the front here. And then here on this page is where I'm going to put my pictures. So I want to have a bit of a background for it. And also want to add a little, well, this is not really thin paper. It's also not thick like the cardstock of the 12 by 12 paper that you get with the collection. So, and I'm going to be putting on quite a bit onto this page. So I wanted to have a little bit of stability. So I'm going to add this, and this comes, music paper does tend to be thin, but this is a bit thicker than really thin music paper, but it's not really thick. So it's going to add a little bit of stability to the page. And then to tie the front with this, I just took what was left over from the page when I cut out my pocket, and just going to add that in. It just makes it so that when the page is shut and you have this here, it kind of ties the two together. So I like when I have pages like this where you can see the next page from the one that you're on. I like to at least coordinate it in some way. And if it's not coordinated, then at least it's not clashing, so that if everything in here is one color or it's really bright, this one isn't, really dark and makes it look jarring. So, but hopefully, if you've done your color palette, you shouldn't have that too much, but it's still nice to really think through how things are going to look. So that's how what you're gonna see from the front here. And then to put my pictures in, what I've done is made two little zigzag guys here. So I didn't have long enough paper to have all three zigzags, so I needed a place for let's see, there's 8 pictures, so 4 for each of them. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, but I didn't want to just stick it down or just have it, because if I put it down like this, well, then you'd really only have 3. If I put it down like this, then you would see the hinge on the page and I'd have to cover that up. So I just cut another piece, and it's going to glue onto that and anchor it down to the page. And then I can either put each of my pictures here and then put something else here, like maybe some more facts, or intersperse it so that I have one and then maybe some facts here and then a picture, so on and so forth. So that was my reasoning for this. And so this will open like this, and then you also can flip it like that to see all the pictures. And so I made 2 of those. Since I have 8 pictures, I need 2 of them. And so now you can see why I need to give a little more weight to this paper, because with both of these on here, that's adding a lot of extra weight, plus I have it's not necessarily being pulled, but there is movement on the page. And so adding something here just helps to give integrity to the paper. And then I also want to keep them closed, because as you can see, they're kind of puffy. And once I put things in, these are going to stick up. So what I'm going to do, and to make it so that, Because if I close this and these are sticking out like this, also it's a little just weird looking. So I'm going to put them on the page so that they're far enough over that when this closes you won't see them. And I want to have those closed, so I'm going to do what I did on another paper, another page that we've done before, which is I'm going to use a ribbon. And this is another piece of sari silk, and this one I've already ironed. So you can see that you go from this really wrinkled up to this really pretty. And, you know, I have used them in both ways. I mean, there's no right or wrong way for using the sari silk. It's just whatever you feel looks best for that image. And hopefully there's enough here that when cut in half, I'll be able to still tie them. If not, I've got a little bit more, so it won't be a big issue. But again, I want to have them tied here to the side so that when the page is closed, what you're going to see is the bow right there. So that is the plan. And of course, everything's going to be stitched together. I probably won't stitch the pictures onto the pieces here, but I'm definitely going to be stitching my pockets. So those will get stitched. And so let me go and I will put it all together and we'll take a look at it when it's all done. Alrighty, see you in a bit. Okay. I wanted to show you how I go about putting a ribbon on in the way that I'm going to be doing here. So I've got my ribbons, and the idea is I want it to tie here. So what I'm going to do is on the back of this piece, I'm going to use my ruler, and you don't necessarily have to be this exact about it, but I have a tendency to want things to be. And, okay, so I'm finding the middle point of each side. There's the midpoint of that side, midpoint of this side. And then I'm going to link them together so I just have a line. Okay. Probably can't see that because it's kind of brown. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tape, and I'm using kind of strong tape here. So this is 3M tape. Red line tape would be good. Just really strong tape. Your average everyday double-sided tape I wouldn't use. So I'm going to run a line of tape right down that line. No, where's my scissors? There they are. And yes, you can tear these, but I prefer to cut them. Okay. So this one is my midpoint. I'm just going to add a little bit more tape to each side. I'm just ensuring that, because you're going to be tugging on the tape, or the ribbon, to tie it. While I'm back here, I'm going to run a piece of tape on either side here. Since I have my tape going. Okay. Now I'm going to remove these three pieces. That's where my ribbon is going to go. Okay. Now, remember which side, so the ribbon needs to come out on this side, which means, so remember, this side is the side that's going to tie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my ribbon in half and I'm going to find the midpoint. Okay, and some ribbons have a bit of a side, you know, one side is the right side, but this one really doesn't. Some of them are a little shinier on one side than the other. This one really isn't. maybe tiny bit more on that side, so we'll go with that side. Okay, so now I have it in half, and I know again that I want my tie on this side, so I want the folded part on the opposite side. Okay, and I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to set this as close as I can. I gotta get up a bit here for me so I can get it in the middle, and I'm going to get as close as I can to getting that fold to the edge. Okay, and then open it up, and I can tamp down my ribbon. So now when we go to the other side, you'll see that they line up, and you have the same amount on the top and the bottom so that it can tie nicely. So I already put tape on the top and the bottom. I'm going to go across. That's going to ensure that it stays in place right across it. And down here. And to do this, I'm going to pull this, get it nice and tight, and don't move. And again, I'm going to put my tape, pulled on the wrong one, get my tape and go right over that and across. It's just going to anchor on both ends. And then one down the middle. Okay. So now when I put this down on my page, I can tie that off. Okay. So let me do that one more time since I happen to have another one. Same thing. I find the center on each end. And again, this, if you can eyeball this part, you know, you don't necessarily have to be exact in finding the middle. And also, if you want it more skewed to one side or the other, obviously, then you wouldn't want to do this. But I like to have mine nice and centered. It just helps to ensure that when it gets tied, it stays down a little better. Okay, so I found my center, made a line so I can follow that with my tape. So edge to edge, following that line. So that's my center point. And I'm just putting down a couple more pieces just to really ensure that the ribbon stays in place. And since I have the tape in my hands, I'm just going to go ahead and put one on each end here. Okay, so now take off this tape. I'm going to do the same thing, make sure that the side where the ribbon is going to tie is on this side, so that I do the same thing again, which means the fold goes on this side. So again, fold my ribbon in half, see if one side ever so slightly shinier than the other. Maybe. Folded it in half so that I know this is my center. And I'm going to lay it down as much straight as I can, and with that fold as much on the end as I can get it. Open that up and tamper down. Nice and tight. Okay. And now we put our tape. Let me find the end. There we go. Across both of these, make sure they're nice and tight and flat. Across it. And then again on this side. And I'm just going to pull it that way. Just to get it out of the way. Okay. one more down the middle. All right, so now when it comes over, you can see they're the same length and that will tie nicely. So I've put my music paper on. You can see it's a little warped. I used a glue stick, and so it's just a tiny bit, but once this gets into the book, it's going to flatten down, and that's not a problem. And also, if this ends up not being enough for both of my little booklets here, this music paper on this, if it's not enough to really give it stability, I can always add another paper on the back here. So, not a problem. So let's get an idea of where these are going to go. And whoops, where's my, I got my pockets sewn and then glued onto the page. So I'm going to put this, and I want to put the whole signature together so I really have an idea of how much everything's going to stick out, because the bulk can change things. Okay, so if I put them right to the edge of the cleft there, that will be perfect. You should not be seen at all, and I even have a little bit of room to move. Okay, so I'm going to line it up that way. So now I just take off all my tape and stick them down. Now you'll notice, so Sari Silk is, you're going to end up with these little fibers all over the place. That is completely normal. So they're not falling apart, it's what they do. Okay, there's one. And feel free, you know, if the thing is that even if as you take off one, another one's going to take its place. So, and they just end up everywhere. So if you don't like that, I wouldn't go for Sari Silk. In case you're wondering, that's S-A-R-I, not S-O-R-R-Y. Sorry. Okay. Here's the second one. Let's move that up a bit. Okay. Line that up. There we go. All right. And now I'm going to turn to the side so I can see it better. I can tie my ribbons. And I'm not going to tie a bow, I'm just going to tie a couple of little knots, which helps to lay them to lay a little bit flatter. And here's the second one. So now, there we have it. And we have these really cute little ribbons sticking out the side. And then I can put my little booklet in here. Perfect. And I have another pocket for some other piece. Now I do have this little guy. I will probably end up using that over here. It's the headline for the page that had all the pictures on it and says, features which contributed to the splendors of the Titanic. So I haven't planned out this side, but more than likely that will get used over there to really tie in together with the pages over here, or images over here. That's gonna bug me. Didn't tie it right. And it's gonna stick up. See, if you, I like to do doubles because they sit down flatter. All right, so that is the page for this session. I do hope you're enjoying these and getting some good ideas, hopefully learning something, or at least getting inspiration. If all of this is not exactly new to you, hopefully you're getting some kind of inspiration. So, and that is it for today, or at least this session. So again, how about that way? Again, take a look at Relative History, the Titanic collection, and Thoughtful Studio. And there you can purchase your Thoughtful Studio from the Relative History site. They are the distributor. So if you have questions, please private message me or leave a message associated with this video. Otherwise, we will see you next time. Bye-bye.